What's good, family? It's your boy Old Soul J, and I'm back with another video. Now look, I told y'all I was gonna make a separate video talking more about shadow work, and that is exactly what I'm here to do today. Someone actually asked me specifically, how do I do shadow work? And I'm about to give y'all a couple ways you could approach this. See, there are many ways to do shadow work. What is shadow work essentially though? Shadow work is essentially diving deep into your darkest traumas, diving deep into that dark side of yourself, or the ugliness that lays within all of us. The reason why we do shadow work, essentially what the goal is after we learn our deepest, darkest sides of ourselves and our traumas, we want to be honest with ourselves about it, and the goal is to heal from these things in order for us to continue to progress mentally, spiritually, and physically, especially spiritually. In order for you to truly progress spiritually, you have to get rid of blocks inside of you. And a lot of that has to do with your traumas, right? So one of the most popular ways to do that is journaling. Journaling helps you because when you put things, when you're actually physically writing something, this is why people use writing as a form of manifestation. People also use writing as a form of releasing and cutting cords, which, you know, you could say is also shadow work. So journaling, right? Sometimes we need to understand ourselves a little better instead of keeping everything inside the mind. Putting it out on a piece of paper, just explaining or writing out what we go through or what we're going through, what we experience, how we feel on a day-to-day basis, you know, being 100% authentic and honest about that can help you realize certain triggers, certain paths. You have to ask yourself certain questions as well. Why do I do this? Why am I like this? When it comes to anything with these practices, you always have to set the intention. You gotta be fully motivated and dedicated to the practice. You have to really not half-ass it. You have to really fully dive in. When you journaling, you're already setting the intention into your mind, because the mind's going to work with you. The subconscious mind's going to work with you. So once you make the decision, like, the reason why I'm journaling is to help me figure out my past traumas and how to heal from it, then you move on, and through time the subconscious mind will help you realize certain patterns as you write out what your experiences are. Here's the thing, our traumas shape us in a lot of ways of how we think mentally, how we react to things, how we act, how we treat others, how we treat ourselves especially. So being honest with yourself, realizing your triggers, and taking the effort to heal from these things is how you do shadow work. Now, journaling is the easiest way, I would say. Now, you got to understand, you can't rush the process, right? You can't expect things to just work right away. Journaling is part of it, right? But also you need to, sometimes you have to look at things that you might not want to look at. When we meditate, right? If you take the time to really dive deep into your meditations and not avoid the thoughts that come up to your mind and view them as a third person, be the witness to your thoughts, everything through time, your mind will start to come up and bring up different things that lay within you. Traumas, things, unhealed traumas will come up when you meditate. If you meditate consistently, here's what you do when you're doing shadow work. You cannot avoid those thoughts. You have to bear witness to them and ask yourself, why are you feeling like this? Just be honest with yourself about the entire thing. You have to face it, embrace it, until you're able to understand and heal from it. You have to accept things and be honest about it. And you have to find the reasoning behind these things and how they shaped you. You have to find forgiveness in your heart for some of these things, and find out how it is okay for you to move on from these things, and also be aware of the triggers going forward that come from it. The thing is though, you have to build an understanding. That's the biggest part about shadow work, is that you have to truly build an understanding of why you had to go through certain traumas. Just having an understanding of it. You have to face and embrace the parts of yourself that you usually ignore, or you sweep under the rug, or that you push deep in those closets. Those skeletons in those closets, you have to face them. You have to truly integrate with it. That's why I said embrace it. You have to truly accept it and heal from it. Forgive yourself or whatever. You know, if you had a childhood where you were raised a certain way and you have trauma from other people, things of that nature, you have to really take it all in. Take it all in. Go through whatever emotions come from that situation and try to understand it. You know what I'm saying? You have to be able to set the intention, and you have to make sure that you're in a space where it's quiet, where you have no distractions, nothing outside of you that is taking your mind away from it. You have to focus on what it is in you, not the outside world, because your traumas, your shadow self will come to the surface. So this is the thing. This is why you have to identify the triggers, because we all have triggers. A lot of people act a certain way because of their shadow self of that was developed growing up. So you have to be aware of your triggers, because a lot of people do things and act a certain way that they don't even realize where this stems from. You have to understand where parts of yourself stem from, and you have to ask yourself the hard questions. What is holding me back? And be honest with yourself about it. It's just you. This is a personal thing. You have to be able to be honest with yourself. People lie to themselves all the time because they're afraid of their flaws. They don't want to accept their flaws. Ask yourself, what do I fear? What hurts me? Why do I fear this? Where does this fear-based belief come from? Why does this hurt me? Why do I feel this negative energy? Ask all the questions that are attached to the negativity that is inside of you. What makes you feel small? What makes you feel unworthy? What makes you feel powerless? Look at your shadow self as if, and this is why we say journaling, because what will help you is that you could write these things out. Imagine your shadow self as another piece, another version of you, a part of you, or another being. Ask those questions and accept and embrace and be honest about the responses that you give back to yourself. You have to learn from the shadow self. It's not about destroying the shadow self, about killing the shadow self. You have to constantly work with the shadow self so you are aware of your shadow self. It's a constant effort to continue to work with it. And if you're the type of person who feels that they can do this alone by themselves and they don't need outside help or extra help, whatever the case is, cool. You could do shadow work alone. A form of shadow work, what helps people with their shadow, is therapy. That's what therapy, why it's such a powerful thing. That's why people love to go to therapy. They're working with their shadow self. In your energy, in your being that may be holding you back, you're also understanding yourself better, which makes it easier for you to navigate through life, truly knowing thyself. I'm going to give you a quick little story time of how I had a lucid dream, right? I recently made a video speaking about lucid dreaming. And I think I mentioned in that video how lucid dreaming can also help you with shadow work. So there was a time where I was doing some heavy shadow work and I set the intention that I was going to lucid dream that night. Not with the intention of doing shadow work in my lucid dream, but around that time I was doing a lot of shadow work. So it kind of tied right in. Here's the thing about that. I do it when I feel that it is time for me to do so. There's times, there comes periods in life where it's like, okay, you need to brush up on that. You know what I mean? So this was around the time, a little bit after. So my aunt recently moved to Las Vegas. She got a house in Las Vegas, her and her husband. And when I went to go visit them. So in Vegas, I don't know how many people here has been to Vegas, but y'all have all heard the saying, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. There's a huge culture that goes on in Vegas that is about prostitution and gambling, to say the least, right? They're very open about that while you're out there, right? You can tell who the I don't know if YouTube would, like, if I'm not allowed to say this on YouTube, but I'm just gonna say the prosties just in case. I don't know if that's a word I'm not supposed to say on here because YouTube be funny about those type of things, but you know, you could tell who the prosties were. So my dream, this was a theme in my dream that had to do something with shadow work. Because while I was in Vegas, there were women that were trying to get me to pay. Like they would literally come up to you. If you're out on the nightlife, anybody who's been to Vegas knows this. If you're out on the nightlife, if you're not with your girl or something, or you're not with women, if you're just with, I was with my brother. If you're just with the guys or by yourself, there was women that will come up to you and try to, you know, flirt with you and convince you to pay for their services, to say the least, right? Which of course I declined. But in the dream, right, and I was lucid during this dream. So here's the thing: when it comes to lucid dreams, you could do two things. You could decide, all right, I'm awake in this dream right now. I'm going to control this dream. I'm going to set the theme and do whatever I want in this dream right now. I'm going to take control of how this dream is going to go, right? Because as you know, we spoke about in the past, you have power in your dream, or you are the god of your dream, and you're in your realm when you're in your dreams. So you could either do that, or you could let the subconscious mind, because your dreams is all what the dreams show you that you're not controlling has a lot to do with your subconscious mind. So you could do that, or you could just say, all right, let me just experience my dream however my subconscious mind wants me to experience it while I'm still lucid and awake during this experience. So I decided to take that route, right? Because I was speaking so much about shadow work, I just already had the sense, let me see what my dream wants to show me. You know, there might be some shadows or something I need to learn, or a message I need to receive, or something I need to see, right? So instead of me taking control of the dream, I let the dream flow. I just went along with things while I was aware that I was dreaming. The way the dream started, I was visiting somebody. It was like this big apartment building, an old building, old styled. And for some reason I knew that my grandfather and my two brothers were coming to visit. And I have nieces, so my brothers brought their daughters. And I went outside to go see them. And my grandfather, that's actually how I became lucid, because my grandfather passed away years ago. So whenever I see him in a dream, I know that I'm dreaming. And that actually made me become lucid. See, my grandfather, it's like I remembered consciously that he's not alive in this world. So I knew that it was a dream. That's what made me lucid, but I decided to go along with whatever was going to happen. So as we go inside the apartment, we're going up the stairs. I'm going to skip over some things that's irrelevant. And in the dream, they went ahead of me, right? Like, it's like they knew where to go. I guess in the dream, whoever's apartment we were in, because I didn't get this far to see who it was, but they knew them. So it probably was other family. So they knew where to go. I didn't have to bring them, whatever. So they left me behind. So while I'm in the apartment, I'm going up these steps, and I was on this floor, and there was this short man, like a midget, old man, that came up to me and asked me to help him with something. Now, in the dream, I was kind of thinking to myself, whatever this man wants me to help him with is probably going to show me something that I probably need to see. A lot of times, depending on your power, because recently I've been getting back into lucid dreaming because a lot of other things been going on in my life. Prior to this, I kind of wasn't lucid dreaming as much as I used to. So, you know, your consciousness, your power, or your how do I say, your skill could waver. Like, there's levels to lucid dreaming. You get what I'm saying? So I'm not as good at it as I once was, but I'm currently working back to that state. So you're a little bit more vulnerable to certain things, or there might be moments where you kind of forget that you're dreaming, and you know, you could be in and out of lucidity or easily influenced, whatever the case is. So there came a woman right after the guy asked me to help him. Before I could even respond, a woman came in the dream. For some reason, I knew who she was. It's like we knew each other. Now at this point, as soon as she came, I started to lose a little bit of my lucidity. In the dream world, your will, or you know, your strength, or whatever the case is, isn't as strong a lot of times when it comes to those succubus, because they know what to do, what to say. That is the essence of their existence. That's what they do. They're sexual beings, and they what's the word? They seduce you. That's what they do. Professional seducers, and they're in your dream state, conscious mind. They know just what you like. So this entity in my dream was most definitely a succubus, but it also was a form of shadow work. So the woman came, distracted me, and I basically knew her in my dream or whatever. So she told me to come with her. So I told the older man, hold on, right? Because now I'm distracted. Now her seduction is pulling me that way. So I go with her, and she lays down naked on the floor. And I'm like, why are you laying on the floor? Like, this is what I said. I said, get off the floor. She got off the floor. She comes to me, starts touching on me. And then she says, do you have any money? And I'm like, do you think I'm about to pay you for sex? Like, that's how I reacted. So I kind of started like pushing her away from me, pushing her off of me. And she says, why can't you pay for sex? You pay for other things that aren't worth paying for. This was a form of shadow work, because this brought to my attention, as into later on into the dream, I've been speaking so much about time is money, your habits. I've been speaking so much about how what you do on a daily basis pushes you into a certain vibration, into a certain frequency, which influences the path that you go on. And I also made a video recently on one of my shorts where I spoke about unconscious distractions. So as soon as she said that to me, it made me think, and I became very lucid again. I was like, I see what you're doing, subconscious mind. I see what you're trying to show me. Because look, remember, I say energy is your currency. Your time is money. So this just made me realize, like, okay, so the subconscious mind is trying to tell me there are things I'm spending my energy or time in that are not worth me spending those things on. What is it that I'm putting energy into that may not be worth me putting my time and energy into? And what is the reason for it? What is it about my shadow self that is leading me to do so? That is influencing me to do so? That is giving me the urges or the temptation to do so? And I'm not gonna get too personal about it, but I dove deeper into that and was able to pinpoint the things that were taking my attention and energy that it wasn't worth me spending my time, attention, or energy on. But that's all I gotta say for today. Make sure y'all like and subscribe. I love y'all.